Did look up Brock Purdy as far as air yards per attempt. Okay, you ready for this? Brock Purdy was 11th in air yards at 4.4. So right in the middle, or closer to the top. If you think about it, Jimmy Garoppolo wasn't far behind at 3.7. So if you really look at how different it is, so Tua was number one at 5.9 air yards per attempt. So I do think the dink and dunk gets overblown a little bit.
And that's what I feel like we're doing here.
Yes. At the same time, it's just what you see. And Tua was airing that thing out. So it looks like it should look like that, right? And then you have some guys who didn't play very much, and you got Josh Allen right behind him. Yeah. So that makes sense to me. And if you think, okay, well, you can't win this, you can't win that, I believe, and here's a big one because everybody likes to compare. Okay, well, what about Patrick Mahomes? So Patrick Mahomes was actually at 4.2 air yards per attempt.
Right.
So Patrick Mahomes actually had a less air yard per attempt than Brock Purdy.
Yeah. And how do we look at him? Like the man.
We look at him.
Not a throw he can't make.
Right. And a lot of times he is dumping off, right?
Yeah.
You got Travis Kelce, but why can't George Kittle be the Travis Kelce of this offense? We know that's how people feel too. So I think the dink and dunk gets a little bit overblown, but I will say this. It also depends on at what point in the game. Throughout the season, when things are going good, very similar to the Warriors offense before they had KD.
Okay.
Right? Everything is flowing. The offense is flowing right. All right. But then when it's time to make a play,
give it to me.
Do you have that guy to make the play? And Jimmy Garoppolo, backtrack to that Super Bowl. It's time to make a play. Wasn't able to make the play. So I think that's what people are getting flashbacks to when you see a Brock Purdy. We know that this offense is going to ball throughout the regular season.
Talk to me.
And we know this offense is going to get us to an NFC championship. And we know that this offense could even get us to a Super Bowl.
Because it's done it.
But can it win us one? That's ultimately the question. Throw the stats all out the window.
No doubt, Alan. And your greatest strength to me is identifying your biggest weakness. And there is no prerequisite to me in the NFL that you have to be Dan Marino to the Marx Brothers, Duper and Clayton to win a Super Bowl. You just showed it with Patrick Mahomes. But again, it goes back to the eye test. But let's put the right on the table early, brought to you by Atco Pest Control. I'm asking you, and I'm also telling you before you answer, Alan, that I do not have a concern before injury in regard to Brock Purdy's arm strength.
Right.
Do you right now on this Monday, forget Saturday, do you have a problem with it, or is it a concern? Because it sounds like there may have been before the injury, because to me, when I look at this Niner offense and what they have at their disposal, and I know Debo was 98% of the play that was successful, but it was a reminder of this dude carried this offense when there was no McCaffrey on his back. Yeah. So I just look at Brock Purdy as capable. I look at him as being able to stay upright and look down the field as he scrambles. I don't think he gets enough credit for him as elusive as he is. So my question to you is, because it sounds like you're saying it's nothing, but and you're stating the facts. But how much on your checklist for Brock Purdy is, how big is that box for arm strength? Because it sounds like pre-injury and then after injury.
Yeah, I don't know where Brock's level is. He's been cleared. He's playing every day. It looks good. I didn't see a throw on Saturday that made me feel any better about the situation, though. So that's what I'm waiting to see.
Even the one to Jennings where he was kind of rolling out?
No, I mean, I think the one to Ayuk was probably a further throw. But either way, but again, Kyle Shanahan might be thinking, it's more about velocity to me, because you got to fit it into the tight windows versus just airing it out. There's just not going to be very situations.
And that pass to Debo had none of that.
No, It didn't, but it was right where he needed it to be. Yeah. So I'll give him credit for that. I mean, Brock Purdy and what he's done, or what he continues to do in this offense, I think the question is, it's always about health, because the nightmare that the Niners are going to cause defenses, Brock Purdy, yes, he's got to do his part, and he will do his part. Really, it's all about this offensive line, because you got to be able to give Brock Purdy time. But assuming the offensive line gets shirred out, which is a huge assumption, you look at these weapons, and why would Brock you don't necessarily need Brock to air it out. You don't need his air yards to be Josh Allen or Tua. Because Tua's got two of the fastest dudes in the league.
Yeah, Waddle and Hill.
And Waddle and Hill. So that's their game plan. They do it differently. If I'm a defense, all right, well, if I'm looking at the tape and I'm saying, okay, Brock Purdy, what he did well, we know he likes to roll to his left a little bit. I remember that being a thing. How can you contain him there? Okay, George Kittle. You can try. We're going to take George Kittle away. All right, well, now you still got Christian McCaffrey. You still got Debo.
Good God.
You still got IU.
You still
and,
going.
and you say, okay, we're going to take away Kittle and who else? You're going to take away Kittle and try to stack the box, Christian McCaffrey type deal. All right, fine. You still have Debo, right? And I think that Debo's come in. Kyle Shanahan joked about the amount of selfies that Debo sent him without his shirt on. And Debo looks slim. He looks like, hey, Christian McCaffrey, iron sharpens iron goo. Christian McCaffrey is on my head. Christian McCaffrey is doing things that I used to do. So I need to level up in whatever capacity that is. So I would expect a breakout season from Debo in that regard. So you got Debo there, and then you got Ayuk, who we know he had some drop issues. He dropped what could have been one of the greatest plays we've seen in the last couple of years with Purdy. But if Ayuk can continue to ascend, you cannot guard all four of those guys at that same time. Then you still got Juwan Jennings, who would be getting
and Ronnie Bell from Michigan.
Ronnie Bell. You still got Juwan Jennings, who would be getting PT somewhere else. If Elijah Mitchell could stay on the field, you got him too. So there's just a plethora of weapons to go to. So as much as it's about Brock Purdy being healthy, you're not asking Brock to do too much. It's that point guard offense. I'm going to let my playmakers make plays. And maybe some Niner fans are tired of seeing that.
I don't know how if it's scoring you points, almost 40 a game, how can you get tired of that? And Alan, I got to be honest with you, man. I got friends that are coming down my road because it's almost like I was rooting for Trey. I was an advocate of the opportunity, but now if I put my, stick in the sand, now I can't even give Brock Purdy a compliment. I don't live my life like that. And you're right. The fact that Brock Purdy is going to be QB1, Allen, this dirty little secret is whatever quarterback's under center in Pittsburgh, which we know it's Brock Purdy, they're going to have to really regress or be bad to get replaced from a productivity standpoint. You know what I mean? And it's everything that you just stated. And the fact that those 8 games and 2 playoff games were basically damn near perfect, not that Purdy's perfect. I don't think quarterback 2 seeing the field anytime soon for the Niners, whomever it may be, barring injury.
Yeah.
It is what it is. And I just wonder how much of that energy about dink and dunk, because I'm seeing it on the Credit Union YouTube chat, about all of a sudden now it's getting labeled dink and dunk. Miss me with that, because this Niner offense, I watched Winning Time last night. I even tweeted it on X about the 80 Lakers with Magic, Showtime. That's what this Niner offense is. It has whatever you want.
Yeah.
So miss me with, he's dinking and dunking until we start seeing a trend, or why isn't Purdy going downfield, or things like that, which we not one time came in here on a Monday last year after a game he quarterbacked.
Right. And
come on now.
The thing is, the parade is not any different if you want it dinking and dunking.
Right.
The Lombardi isn't any less shiny if you want it dinking and dunking. And again, it's really just the optics of whether it's actually dinking and dunking or not. Because we already went through the actual air yards. You're not going to see a bomb to Danny Gray, and hopefully he can get back on the field too with the injury that he sustained. Until they do it, there are going to be people out there that feel as if there's something holding this team back. And look, if Purdy doesn't have, and people say he's got a noodle arm, if Purdy doesn't have a noodle arm, there will be a situation where there is a defense that eventually figures out how to not stop all these guys, but hey, we're going to make you push the ball down the field. And at that point, we will see if Brock Purdy and Kyle Shanahan are able to scheme that up. But until that happens, there is no reason. If something ain't broke, don't fix it.
No doubt. And it's kind of funny you say that about a defense out there because I don't want to call the Niners offense against Dallas in the playoffs pedestrian, but Dallas, their defense, they did a solid job, and the Niners still won. And you know what? For so long in this offseason, Allen, I kind of looked at what Philly did because it goes to what you just talked about. Okay, Guru, the bottom line is you want to hit and inflict pain on the opposing quarterback and take him out the game. I think this offseason, I didn't give Philly enough credit for that. They saw an opportunity. Here comes Reddick off the edge, and bam, Purdy's out the game. And that's just, to Niner fans, that's a reality of the NFL. They won that game specifically because of what they did to your starting quarterback. And again, hopefully that doesn't, show its head again. But that's what you strive for when you talk about these great defenses. And I was just looking at the schedule. Pittsburgh, all of a sudden, I don't know if you know this, I've been watching too much NFL Network. All of a sudden, their team and their defense is the flavor of the month. Oh, this could be a breakout season for the Steelers. I'm not saying it's not, but this week 1 is not going to be, a pushover. It's not going to be a walk in the park. You're going to have to go earn it. And you got Watt, not JJ, his brother, coming off that edge. But I'm asking you, and I know you're going to give me an honest answer, when you talk, and I'm going to use this word, divisive. Kaepernick and Alex Smith, it became toxic, I believe, amongst fans. We can go to Young in Montana. We know what that is. You still got some that won't give Montana or Young credit because they were rooting for their guy. And I just think the gap between Lance and Purdy, to me, in regard to what's going on upstairs, the ability to get rid of the ball quick is bigger than the Trey stands or bots want to really give credence to. And that's why now we're seeing these, Brock did this, but he only threw it for 4 or 5 yards. I'm like, see, Allen, I'm fair. Come on, man. Is that what we're really doing? But it sounds like there's a sprinkle of it, and it could get louder if the Niners are winning games and maybe Brock doesn't look like, Kaepernick in his prime or Dan Marino.
I think that it won't get loud if the Niners are winning. I think that the people that want to see Trey will still feel like that, but as long as the Niners are putting up W's, you're a bit stuck. You can't complain if the team is winning. That's all I'm saying. If they start losing, then that's a different conversation. But
and you're right.
If I was one of those Trey fans that you talk about, though, do they not? Is there no validity to what they're saying about just seeing? And I get it. Trey had his opportunity last season and he got injured. But saying, "Hey, are you telling me now?" What the problem is the screen pass. But are you telling me that Trey couldn't do what Brock did at the beginning of that drive? Right at the beginning when Trey got in. Hey, man, this doesn't look great. But then towards the end, you're saying, can Trey do what Brock can do? Now the problem is consistency, and I'll take it to you. Got the Dak Prescott Cowboys hat I see on because he always rocks that hat. That's his favorite version of it. I was reading an article, and it said,
you sent this to me.
It was saying how they want to take away the hero ball from Dak Prescott. So teams don't necessarily. I think that's a common misconception. You want a franchise guy, right? But you don't want the franchise guy to have to put the cape on and put the team on his back every time he goes out.
But if you implement a plan in the offense where you had given him those responsibilities and you dial it back, that's telling me, Simple Simon, you've lost confidence in the guy that you had given so much responsibility to.
No,
tell me I'm off on that.
I don't think so. Well, first of all, when you throw as many picks as Dak threw, hey man,
just last year, you look at his career, it wasn't as bad as it was last year.
I'm using Dak as an example. We want less. We have not won the big one. We have not had success with this hero ball. Dak's numbers have looked great, but we haven't won. We want to take things away from Dak. So as much as people want to say Brock Purdy doesn't have to do much, to be honest, it feels like a lot of coaches want that. They don't want they don't want Patrick Mahomes to have to do everything. They don't want Aaron Rodgers to have to do everything. I finally started watching Hard Knocks, by the way, so we can talk about that too.
Yeah, because I didn't watch it.
They don't want these quarterbacks to have to do everything. So it might to the highlight reels and to Bleacher Report and to Sports Center, it looks great. Look at Josh Allen. He is Hercules. It might look great to them, but that's not what coaches want. They want the job to be easier for their quarterbacks. You want a franchise guy in case those things don't work out.
That's what I'm talking
right?
about.
If
we're down 2 touchdowns for whatever
now
reason.
we need you to step it up. But coaches don't want their guy to have to put the team on their back week in and week out. Nobody wants that. So everybody feels like, well, Purdy doesn't have to do this or that. He just has, that's what all coaches want.
Okay. All right. And you know what, Alan? I am on the street that you're driving on, but I just got to go back to the analogy. I didn't feel like you liked it. Tell me if you did. About you were supplanting me or Steiny. Like, it's obvious you can do this job, right? But it's the opportunity. And Trey had the opportunity last year.
Right.
And again, I know I'm a broken record. He got hurt, Alan.
Yeah.
So now he's on the sideline watching Brock, basically in the midst of this Cinderella story, movie type of stuff. So I would just tell, and it's no shade at Trey Lance or his fans or the people that want to see him or say, oh, Lance could do that. But my point is, as an adult and a real ass fan, is you got to almost be quiet, right, until this opportunity and situation under Brock Purdy is done. Because right now, I don't see any other way and how it's healthy for any Trey Lance fan to do that, because you're going to just be chasing your tail, because right now it's on Brock. He's your starter. He came in as a third string. He took advantage of it, Allen. So my PSA to Niner fans, if they're out there like this, because I'm reading it on social media, is kind of just be quiet, because right now Brock didn't do anything illegal to get the keys to the Ferrari.